Daily. First of all, we should all be very grateful for this opportunity, so we should give Simon and King a big hand. Okay, so I'll just talk briefly, short and sweet to the point. National Research Foundation. I thought it was very interesting that the Prime Minister was behind the whole thing and that they had direct contact. That shows the devotion and commitment that they have towards the program. I also think it's very interesting they have multiple stages of investment that they do for companies that have no experience whatsoever and aren't even established to bigger companies who need help and maybe an entrance into the Singapore markets. I also thought it was very interesting that Singapore has very little natural resources, as he told us, and that human capital is very important to them. So there's along with the investments and their want for people to come here and their talent that they need, they also, the grants they give relieve some of the pressure to the companies, because if they do fail, they're not tied to a bank and will be bankrupt and have terrible credit for the rest of their life. So that sort of gives maybe a little bit of a confidence boost to the companies there. So there's maybe a greater chance of success. Now I'll just pass it on. Just be short.
So now I want to talk about what we learned from Spring. So actually we visit Spring Seeds, and I think it's more like a real venture capital, but supported by the government, because they can do all the things that venture capital can do. The evaluation method is almost the same based on prospects of the business, and they can make profits not by individual but by the whole fund. So I think it's virtually a business venture. Maybe Singapore government want to use the business way, the market approach, to address the problem of helping the small and medium enterprises. And I think Spring is more like on the business side, but NRF, National Research Foundation, is more like on the technology or research side. And I think maybe the government can combine them together so that they can inject some business knowledge, like people with very good business sense, and combine it together with those technical skills or some technology, so that they don't need to separate the resources. They pull them together, and then they even can create even better prospect for those potential companies.
Okay, I'll just share a little bit about SWGI, which was the last company we went yesterday, right? It was very, very interesting because it's like these two that we just heard, but it was kind of different because they provided a platform for the small companies like you and I just to go and work there, right? If we don't have a place to stay. They provided with the assistance, with the everything in their warehouse, can we call it in their office, for the people to innovate, right? And they had other companies with them, which I guess could have implemented or complemented their work, because, for example, if you're working right next to a person who's developing something else, you might, interact with them. In that interaction, there might come new ideas, right? Which might be really interesting. And personally, I consider that it was really nice. Also, Frank's story, because his bio was extremely interesting due to the hardship he faced and how he actually overcame that. Because in that sense, we can see that if you have an idea, if you have a vision, just follow it and just work towards that, and you'll achieve it. And when you achieve it, just try to keep on it. And even though you fail, it doesn't matter. You have to learn from the experience and just move on. And as he said, right, he just made something new again, like here in Singapore. That was quite admirable, I consider, and that's the sense of innovation, the people that have the idea to create and they never give up until they achieve what they want. And in terms of the company-wise, I really consider that they were really, well, it's the same but different, because they provide different platforms, different things, and their support was also in conjunction with the NRF, because they had 16K, right? And the NRF gave 89 or something like that. So what's it?
89
small,
89 for the small, and then 500 for the other.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. And I consider that encourages a lot of innovation, like new startups, new everything. And as Max mentioned, I think it was really nice that they don't in-debt you if you fail. That's really, a relief, because normally if I do that in Hong Kong, actually, I have to go ask for HSBC accredit. And if I fail, I fail. That's the thing. So I really consider that's really nice here in Singapore.
Yeah, that's one of the major differences in Singapore and Hong Kong, because you can see there are a lot of startups in Singapore compared to Hong Kong, because the government have more support and they encourage more of innovation and development in the country for the benefit of the country, and that's why the government is willing to support such endeavor for different people, different business type people, engineers to start what they want to do, to create something new, or but very differently in Hong Kong, you don't see that many startup company, you don't see that many people who are willing to chase whatever they want to do, pursue their passion, because there's not enough support and the social environment is not allowing them to do so. And with the social pressure and all that, that really prohibit the innovation and creativity of the people in Hong Kong. And that's why I think this aspect is one of the things that we can learn from the Singaporeans, and how much are we willing to give up, or how much are we willing to put in to create something new, to nurture a more innovative environment for the better of the society.
And my part is about the innovation capital venture, because in my course I talk about the technological transference. Even in Silicon Valley, more than 80% of the startups are start with fundraising from their parents, relatives, and friends, and they start a new company with 2 or 3 friends in a garage, just like Google. But I think Singapore has a very good mechanism to help people with different kind of startup. They have the very professional funding to help the famous lecturers, and also they have the small funding if you want to start small. And it doesn't like other areas that some people doing the research program only for the funding and then they can abuse it. But in Singapore, they have the mechanism. They need to do the internal local audit. They also have the international panel to assess this program, and with the also midterm report, so they can know whether this program is durable. And I think that's what Hong Kong can also learn from it.
So does anyone have any questions? Yes.